By the authority of the governing boards of Bethlehem University and upon the recommendation of the Executive Council of the Executive Council, the University confers upon Sir Husseini Jafali the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa with all the rights, privileges and responsibilities pertaining to that degree, given in Jeddah on the 30th of October 2018.
مبروك. اوكي عم يحصل شيء ولا
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Professor Peter, for your generous and kind words mentioned in your citation. I'm truly obliged for this recognition by the Board of Trustees of Bethlehem University, and I am honored and humbled to receive this award, which I certainly accept with great appreciation. Indeed, it is my privilege to thank you for providing me with the opportunity to contribute, if only a tiny fraction, to share in the development of such a distinguished university in the occupied land of Palestine. Yes, I'm moved and I'm humbled, but I'm also inspired by the hard and endless work the Bethlehem University is performing to achieve the vision and mission towards our youth in Palestine. Thank you for providing the Bethlehem University with an excellent and well-balanced education, thus enabling them to rebuild their shattered lives by giving them hope, by giving them the imagination and the reimagination for the future, as well as reconstruction of their country at a time when resources are as tight as they are now. Every dollar that goes towards building sustained lives is a dollar well spent. It is an investment for more peaceful and productive times for all of us. Here, I just would like to give a word of gratitude and express my sincere thanks to all my family members and friends who supported me all through these long years and long journey to achieve my vision and aspiration. Thank you, kids. We cannot eradicate or block out or even undo the terrible effects of crises and conflicts that grip our world of today. We cannot forget the exodus and the diaspora of the wars. But with the support of God Almighty, good universities and schools, and generous people like you can all contribute and give the youth a reason for hope for a better life, a road to recovery, and the courage to survive. By enriching their lives with education, aspiration, confidence, and justice, and by promoting sustained future for them with optimistic outlook in this unsettled world. Father Peter, You so kindly mentioned various philanthropical activities I am involved in. I did not know, I'd never counted them really. So please let me begin by looking back into memories lane and sharing with you the most challenging phases of my life. As Dr. Peter already mentioned, I grew up in Jerusalem when the Middle East was in turmoil and the map of Jerusalem was being, or Palestine, was being redrawn. Uprising revolutions and the Second World War were at its doorsteps. I lost my country when I was quite young. I experienced pain, I experienced hardship, humiliation, and believe it or not, anger. The ethnic cleansing by Zionists began, and the exodus from our homeland was at its peak. The plight of the Palestinians was atrocious. Hundreds of villages were burnt and leveled to the ground. Others were abandoned. Villagers were expelled, imprisoned, or assassinated. Then came the bloodbath of Deir Yassin. A few dozens of elderly women and some children fled to Jerusalem. Orphans were accommodated by some Arab families. Schools were shut down. Other cities surrendered. The days of terror persisted. The state of Israel was declared, and Arab morale was at its lowest. My family was forced to flee Palestine, and my parents made their way to Beirut by sea. The memory of the Exodus is painfully carved in my mind forever. Overnight, we became refugees, living in exile. All we had was what we set out with on this rough and dangerous journey. A few personal belongings, my parents' good education, a good reputation, and a will to survive. Facing the unknown and disappointed at the realization of losing everything hit my parents very hard. The outlook was gloomy and desperate. I had a terrible feeling of sadness for the idyllic city of Jaffa, city of oranges, and for the holy city of Jerusalem, city of my childhood. The richness of Palestinian culture before 1948 had vanished forever. My dreams were shattered, but I did not waver. My aspiration was to pursue my studies by all means, thus obtaining a scholarship from my university in Beirut. As I reflect back to those early days or years, I remember that I was always aware and sensitive of the plight of the refugees, the needy Palestinians in exile, smart students who were unable to pursue their education, sick children whose parents could not afford to bring them to hospitals, all this because of lack of financial reasons. I tried to help the less fortunate with the meager means I had at that time. I worked as a volunteer in the college neighborhood school that served surrounding communities of underprivileged kids and children with special needs. I was motivated by this initiative as it taught me to be considerate, to be compassionate, and supportive to the needy. This hands-on experience was the guiding star of my aspiration. The day of my graduation and later my marriage to the late Sheikh Ahmed Jaffari rahimahullah were the happiest and the most joyous milestones in my life. I was 21 years old and I had many dreams and visions. I was determined to make them come true, as I had the full support of Ahmed rahimahullah. We shall remember his always in our prayers. I knew that to realize my dreams, I had to be proactive and directly involved to help the less fortunate. I wanted to work in humanitarian projects, especially in the field of health and education. I wanted to invest in human beings. I wanted to make a difference in their lives, as I believe that every human being has the right to live a decent and productive life. My late husband, who was a role model and inspiration throughout my life, was a great believer in youth. Wisdom, he said, can be found in the elderly. However, youth has the drive, the energy, the enthusiasm needed to make things happen. I too believe in the younger generation. And certainly, youth that is empowered with knowledge is the most influential strategic resource in any nation. Helping to serve the youth of today will always be my primary goal. I vowed to myself to develop my dreams by educating and empowering the marginalized, by equipping them with the most powerful tool they can reach. I firmly believe that it is only the power of education that will lead to prosperity, advancement, and success of any nation. I believe that a good educational system is the best shield against extremists in all its manifestations. Likewise, it is the cornerstone for building social cohesion and creating equal opportunities. It must therefore continue to be a guide steering the world towards the future, tolerance, and peace. Reform in education and training is a priority and has actually become a pressing need internationally. We need to transform our universities into effective centers that will provide disseminate knowledge and culture and training and instill values like democracy, solidarity, tolerance that will provide the pillars to build the Arab world of today, of tomorrow. We also must be aware that the creation of knowledge never stops in the world. You know all that. The world is at a race towards the stars. And only together we shall win this race. So let us win this race. And thank you all and bless you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Madame Jafani, Madame.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Mr. Mahmoud Asadi to the stage, the Consul